Well, hello, my vacuum cleaner chums, and today we are going to be rebuilding this Bissell PowerClean One Pass multi-cyclonic, and we can see that bin cleaned up beautifully. There is nothing wrong with that at all. Now, I am reusing, in fact, believe it or not, and some may call me crazy, but I'm reusing. Of course, this doesn't really count because it's just a blow off or a suction relief filter, but I am reusing or attempting to reuse this set of filters. And obviously, I still need to order a set. In fact, I probably should have done that whenever I first took this machine apart, because if I did, we would have had new filters for this video. But that's on me. That is absolutely my fault. Oh, Rocco, do you want to stay and manage the video a little bit? Rocco, why are you staring at me? This filter smells really good. It smells like Bissell, even though it doesn't look the best. And this little spongy filter is a little bit stained. But we'll at least give those a shot and see if those work in this machine. Rocco. Flop. No. No. Don't rip it. No, don't rip the filter. Don't rip the filter. Why is there a random blotch right there? This is mostly clean, and there's just a random gray spot in the corner. But we're going to attempt to reuse this. But the first thing we got to do is clean up the machine itself, because it's still a little bit dusty. And from there, we got to start putting this thing back together. Right, so I actually forgot to clean the main body of the machine, so I'll have to do that real quick. One thing we are not skimping on replacing, though, is the belt, because this thing will obviously need a new belt. So as far as the main body, we do still need to wipe this down, because all this is just dirty and yucky and gross. And that's something I actually forgot to do prior to filming. I noticed when I went to go pick it up that the thing's all nasty. So, which I guess would make sense because I didn't clean that part. So that actually would make perfect sense. So we're going to grab ourselves a disinfecting wipe. Although I probably should do this a different way. But, because of course these disinfecting wipes are always annoying whenever they get to the end, because they're just like in like a sopping pool of liquid, and in this case it's just getting liquid all over my carpet. See, and this is very wet, honestly. Just squeeze that out onto the table and just try to clean this reasonably. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is likely not a machine I'm going to sell. I am likely going to keep this in the collection, so we will see how that goes. If for no other reason than just the fact that I really like the machine this is based off of. Although, who knows? I usually don't like cord rewinds on vacuums, but this one's actually not too bad. So, but we just gotta get this reasonably clean at least. And of course there's dirt and all these crevices and whatnot, and just kind of all over the machine. Try to spin this around and get all this wiped down properly. I don't know how well you can see this. Oh, I'm literally off camera. You can't even see any of this. Isn't that great? Isn't it amazing how after 6 years I still can't seem to get that right? I need a GoPro or something. That's what I need. Because then wherever I'm looking, you would see. That's what I really need. One of those darn GoPros. I'm not going to open it up to the motor. Because it sounds fine. It seems like most of that noise was coming from the filters. And of course Rocco's being a menace and knocking things over because he knows whenever I'm doing a video and he wants to interrupt me. Rocco, can you not be a brat for 4 seconds? Gotta get all that dust that's on the inside of there. So hopefully we can get all that. Or at least most of it. Alright, so that's the way to do that. Alright, so now the main body is cleaned up. So now it's time for us to reassemble this. And looks like some hair and stuff got on this in the time that it was sitting. Which this doesn't have to be perfect, of course. It's just going in the collection, but you know, I'll use it a little bit, of course. I'll probably use this instead of my other one. Instead of my other one pass, my Clean View, which of course Bissell, they like to put different names on it. It's the exact same machine, just the PowerClean version has a cord rewind. So otherwise it's the same. So we gotta reassemble this cleaner head and bother to like scrape out all the gunk in here. It's not really a big deal. I'm gonna clean up the window so that way that's a little bit nicer, a bit more clear. But yeah, so we've got to put this back together, and yeah, so we'll go ahead and reassemble this. So the height adjustments, so in this cleaner head, on this one the height adjustment knob goes in through the front. Sometimes they go in through the back, but this one goes in through the front. So we gotta line that up right there. So the way to line this up is with the knob past the bare floor setting, and then now you can push it until it clears that loop. Yeah, push it till it clears that loop, and it'll sound like it's breaking, but it's not. And now it's in place. So now it's in place and it's on the middle section. All right. So now we've got to get this. Now I didn't pull this part off of this because for some reason it wouldn't budge, but I did pull this duct off of this. So we gotta pop that back on there. There we go. So that's back on. Which actually I probably shouldn't have done that because that would have made it easier to push it through here, but in this case it didn't matter because I could push it through either way. And the way this is curved, see the way it's curved down there, so we got to line that up, which this actually was out of place whenever I took this apart, strangely enough. But see, that lines up like that because there's two little grooves here that these little bits of the housing kind of mold into. So now this is in properly, and we'll have to spin the hose around for it to attach to the unit later. Alright, so we've got that. Now, there's a little suction relief filter, which is what this little thing is, and it's got a screw that has a washer on it. So we need to put that on. Hopefully this will still be in frame. But you can see where it's where it's got a line right there, so we can line that up. And it's got two little notches to hold it in most of the way. 2 little tabs. So you can see that right there. And then we just got to put the screw in, and it's got a little washer on it, which I just realized I don't know where my screwdriver is. Okay. So I guess we'll get that later then. We'll put everything else on. Actually, no, I think that is... Nope, high adjustment wheels. So the last thing we have to do for the cleaner head, at least in terms of this part for now, is the height adjustment wheels, which this for some reason has glitter in it. I'm not sure why. I don't even remember seeing that earlier, but do I care? Nope. So, of course, you line this up to a 90-degree angle and push them in so it clears those tabs, and then it swings down, and now that's installed. Perfect. And these wheels are pretty scratched, as you'd expect. They probably ran them on concrete or maybe when they donated it, they ran it on the concrete or whatever. That's usually how it goes. The bumper I didn't even have to remove. It's still held in place, so we don't have to worry about that. Alright, so we're going to have to come back to that because we can't put the belt on and everything until we actually put it onto the main unit, which is what we're going to do next, because we got to grab these 2 pieces and attach the power head to the main unit. But I got to grab the screws and, of course, my screwdriver. Alright, well that fell. So, I'm going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. Press the pedal so it goes flat, or as flat as it can theoretically go. Okay, well obviously that one doesn't go there. So that big one goes there, and the little one goes right there. There we go. I have to lift this up a little bit so we get some clearance. And then from there, we just got to grab most of these. Almost all these screws are the same, with the only exception of the one with the little washer, and that's for that little filter we saw earlier, that little suction relief filter. So that one's different, but these other ones not so much. So we got to grab 4 of these screws. There's 1, 2. I'm trying to intentionally grab similar looking screws. So there's 4. Because some of these look better than others. So we'll grab those ones. Okay. I'm going to put these screws in, which of course, you know, easiest thing in the world to put these screws in. I couldn't find my ratcheting screwdriver, so I'm going old school, just a basic manual screwdriver, because even though I just had my fancy one, I don't know where it went. Which isn't ideal, because I feel like it's very easy to strip these screws. If I lay this on the table, there we go. Lay this on the table, and I'll push that down. There we go. Come on. Stop skipping on the screw. Stop it. Really don't want to strip out these screws. I hate these cheap screwdrivers, but I can't find my good screwdriver, even though I just had it. So I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. There we go. So now the power head is installed. And then we got to get that little screw right there that holds on the lower hose. So we got to grab one of those. Which again, these are all pretty much the same. There we go, that's installed. And Yep, all that works. Of course, the wheels just dropped out. So now, prop this up. Thanks to the way the handle's designed, I can prop that up right there. And now we can see everything. Now, gotta make sure that's pushed in, which yes it is. Gotta grab that screw with the little washer before I forget that. And make sure this is lined up properly. It seems a little off center, but it should be okay. This is just to protect the motor if the suction gets blocked. Alright, put the wheels back on for the second time. See, and that kind of chipped the plastic right there. That ain't good, but should be okay. Put that on. Alright, now this is the old belt, which we're not going to use. I'll throw that away. Now here's the brush roll, which I actually never cleaned. It's still got some hair and stuff on it. So we're going to pull the hair off this real quick. Try to put it over here so I can make sure it doesn't cause any issues. It's actually kind of impressive how little hair wrap there is on this. These Bissell brush rolls are usually pretty tangle resistant, but if you have really long hair, you will get hair wrap on them. Like in my case, whenever I'm using them, I get a little bit of hair wrap and I eventually have to clean them. But it's little enough that I can wait until I, change the belt to take the hair off, and it doesn't impede the bristles or anything. So at work, when I use these Bissells, a lot of times the old carpet fibers will actually rip up and get caught wrapped around the brush roll. And those you pretty much got to remove immediately when you see them, but a lot of times I'm not paying attention. And then they can cause the bristles to get collapsed down and, wear unevenly, so it's not ideal. But yeah, there's not a lot here, honestly. There's really not a lot. Kind of interesting how all these bristles are staggered, like they're slightly, like they alternate in length. That's kind of strange, but I mean, if it works. These clean booths are usually pretty good cleaners. See, and I just dust off the sides by just wiping it on the carpet. See, the bearings on this are in beautiful shape. A lot of times these will get seized up and they'll start to melt, but whoever had this took really good care of it. This is like as smooth as a brand new one, which is really good. You can replace these, but if you ever replace these, they're never going to be the original color. They're always just going to be all black usually. So if you're a collector and you like it to be all original, then you better hope that you can rebuild the original roller, which is, if the bristles are in good shape, it is possible to rebuild these with new bearings, but it's not easy. I've been doing this for, I've been fixing these Bissells for, as of next year, about almost 20 years, and, at least well over 15 years, and I still have not mastered. People say that you can pop these rods out and pull the end caps off that way. I have never been successful. Every time I try to do that, I end up missing and I end up cracking the end caps. So I just don't even bother now. I just replace them. Now there is some fuzz and stuff in the sides, you can kind of see. So that's not ideal, but they shouldn't cause too much of an issue. I'll try to see if I can get those out. It's just on the one side too, which is strange. Well, that is the belt side, so that actually makes sense. The only thing is, if I'm putting all this hair on the carpet, then once I run this again, all this hair will get soaked back up by the brush roll. So I'm getting some of these little bits of hair out. Might try to vacuum that out maybe. If I grab another machine with a crevice tool, maybe I can try to get that. Alright, so I got most of the dust out of the sides. There's a couple little bits in there, but I'm not too worried about it. With how well this is running right now, it should be good for a while. So, now we gotta grab our new belt. I was debating on opening one of these Walmart ones or one of the Amazon ones that I got in like a 20 pack or whatever. And I figured it doesn't really matter, so I just grabbed one of these because, you know, most of my Bissells have these except for, I think, the Big Green and the Sanitaire. I think both of those have the Amazon belts. These are the Walmart belts. So, a little bit different, but should be good enough. And, of course, usual deal, you gotta pinch it to where there is a little loop. And then, you know, move it until you get it past the motor spindle. Then take the brush roll, grab the belt side, which this one has a lot more resistance than the average Power Force. And of course readjust it because it's not adjusted right. Oops. Yeah, because that plastic's in the way. And then mess with it until you can get this end to slide in. There we go. And spin it by hand a couple times. Excellent. There's a lot of, wow, there's a lot of weird stuff that just came off onto this belt. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Huh. Thought this was a brand new belt. Let's say I just opened this belt and now it's all dirty. Huh. That's not good. Try to clean this belt up with the disinfecting wipe. Really weird. Not sure what all that stuff was about. Is it on the motor spindle? Oh, it is. There's a lot of gunk on the motor spindle that I missed. Just kind of strange. Usually those aren't all that dirty. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. That's kind of strange. Okay. Now that I cleaned it, there's nothing really coming off on it, so that's good. So that was kind of weird. There was a bunch of gunk on the motor spindle, and normally the motor spindle is the cleanest thing on the machine. And it wasn't even, it's not rubber too. There was like actual dirt on it for some reason, like actual dust. Well, that's strange, but now we got that cleaned up. And we can try this again. And we'll make sure the belt section on the brush is clean, as it should be. Might be a little bit damp, but that's okay. It ain't gonna hurt it. There we go. And then of course that other side of the brush roll, there we go. Yeah, a lot better. There's still a little bit of stuff coming off, which I'm not really sure what that's all about. But should be decent. Is this belt like dry rotting or something and I'm just not noticing it? Even though this one was brand new? Let's say these belts are these are brand new. Like I don't know how long ago I got them, but there's no way they sat in my drawer for that long. I mean, at most, maybe a year. Either way. All right. So the power head is mostly done. Just got to put on. Is this still recording? Yep. Just got to put on the base plate, which pretty much goes on seamlessly. There's like a little kind of a gap in here. I'm not sure if that's normal for there to be. Oh, there is. Okay, no, that gap is normal because the base plate fills it out. Okay, because yeah, where that duct is and everything. So that's all. It's all fine and dandy. So just gotta put these screws in and hope they don't strip out or nothing. That's a couple of these are smaller screws, so I got to make sure not to get those. Make sure not to get those confused. Yeah. Some of the, actually I think that one's the wrong one, I think. Because these ones are all shorter screws, I believe. And that one's the longer screw. Yep, that's right. So the ones for the Cyclone are a little bit shorter. And of course, I cannot, for the life of me, get these screws to screw in very easily without slipping. Sometimes they go in easily. Maybe the bottom screws, or I guess the front screws, tend to go in a little bit more easily. Yeah, so that's that. There we go. So the bottom is completely done and dusted. So now, oh, heard some kind of noise. What is that noise? There's something loose in there? Oops. As I just whack the camera. Huh. I don't know. What is that shaky noise? Sounds like there's something loose in here, but I'm not sure what that is. I don't know. Oh, either way. Seems like it's fine, so should be okay. So we'll take our HEPA filter, which again, you should just replace this, honestly, but I didn't do that for whatever reason, so since I decided not to do that, we're going to put in our original one. After attempting to wash it, even though these aren't washable, they're not supposed to be, at least. I'll try to there we go. Is it normal for the... Maybe it's normal for the rewind to have that much play in it. I don't know. Doesn't seem like there's any loose screws in there. Alright. So, I'm going to take our hose. Actually, no, we'll do the hose later because we'll do the hose with the attachments. We got to put together the Cyclone assembly, which has all these. So these two pieces which slide together in a certain way. Apparently that way. Yep, because they are keyed a certain way. So they go in like that. And then this part is also keyed a certain way, so it goes in like that. And then this bottom part of the Cyclone goes in like that. And there's 3 screws to hold this on, and then 2 screws up top. Okay, so apparently there's 6 screws. Am I missing a screw? Is the question. I'm trying to remember if there's a screw anywhere that I missed, because there's 3 screws here and 2 screws here. Is there a screw? No? Do I have an extra screw? I'm going to say, I'm not sure where that goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where does that 6th screw go? It's always a dilemma with these, isn't it? If I can get this open. This doesn't want to open for some reason. There we go. I don't know why that was... that button is... Is that button good in there? Yeah, I think that button needs some work. But no, and that all looks good. Well, looks okay. I guess we'll have to figure out later where that screw goes. Because there's... This is always the most fun. Whenever because there's... Okay, I see. So there's a screw that goes in the middle. There's a screw that goes in the middle of the base that I forgot about. Yeah, there's a middle screw there that goes there. That's where that goes. Yep, and it's a longer one too, so that makes sense. Yep. So that's what that was. There's this little middle screw that I forgot. Well, there we go. See, if I was actually using my workbench, I probably wouldn't have forgot that because I would have seen that. Okay, now we can put this Cyclone back together. So we got to put 2 screws up there. Oops. Looking at these screws, just seeing. Which ones are in the best shape. Alright, so 2 of the slightly smaller screws go up here. This isn't the cleanest it could be, but honestly, I'm not too worried about it. This is going to get used anyways. Keep bumping the tripod. There we go. Then finally, this piece right there. Those 3 screws go in right there. And then that's all the screws. And I already installed the HEPA filter, which again, those will get replaced soon. Now we just gotta put these back in, which is kind of difficult to get these torqued properly. There we go. And this last one. There we go. So the Cyclone is all back together. So now we can reinstall this. And it goes in a certain way. Oh, other way. So this lines up. And again, both these notches are keyed a certain way, so they only go in one way and twist to lock into place. That doesn't look right. Is that right? No, that is right. No, yeah, I'm looking at this. Yeah, that is correct. I saw that little notch in there and I wasn't sure, but nope, that's where it's supposed to be. Because that's lined up with the intake. But yeah. So we can close that up, and then finally grab our little sponge filter, and we'll probably wipe down this seal a little bit better. Try to do all that without breaking my nail. Too late, already broke my nail. That's always how we do things. All right. Put that in. Clip it into, no, well, not clip, but push it into all the grooves. Make sure that's all lined up. So there's that. And so now, that belt out of the way. So now this portion is all back together. So the vacuum is mostly done. We just gotta grab our hose, which I actually didn't end up washing because it didn't really need it. But we gotta push our hose back on, and then finally we gotta find some attachments. All right, so the last thing we need to do is fit the tools. So this was the turbo brush that it came with. It was the only attachment this machine came with. This is exactly how I got it. It's actually really clean, and they basically never used it, so that just goes right back where it was. And thankfully, I happen to have the exact matching set of tools in one of my drawers, completely unused. I don't remember where this machine came from. But probably... So literally, all three of the small tools, brand new, unused. Again, don't know where these came from. They're the right color and everything. Even the dusting brush is the original white color. So that's all good. So we'll slide the original. Again, this is the exact right crevice tool, the exact right wrong wand, and the exact right dusting brush. So we'll slide that in there and click that in. And we'll put the brush right there. And now this thing for $5. And then the only other thing I've replaced so far is the belt. Everything else is original. Although, again, I am going to replace the filters because they are shot and they do need to be replaced, especially that HEPA filter. I have no faith in that HEPA filter. But, actually, really both the filters. But it is back together. So the last thing we need to do is just try it and see if it works. I did clean the cord too, which again, it didn't need all that much. The cord, like all the stuff that would have been problematic on these. The motor, the cord, the brush roll, and then any part of the housing. Other than the filter release catch. That I need to do some work on because it really doesn't like to cooperate. But, so if that fails, that could be a problem, but yeah, so we'll go ahead and plug this in. It is this, yeah, it is in the off position, so we'll go ahead and plug this in real quick and see what it does. All right, now let's see what the crappy filters how this thing runs. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me that sounds great. Obviously, again, those filters are going to get replaced because I imagine the airflow is not as good as it'd be for a brand new HEPA filter. Because I bet you that HEPA filter is stifling it a fair bit. Let me make sure after I turned it on that it's not doing anything goofy. So there's a little bit of moisture that it pushed out of that HEPA filter, which I guess makes sense because these are really difficult to actually air dry, which is again why you shouldn't wash them. As much as people say you can wash them, you really can't. So, yeah, there is a little bit of moisture, which again is not ideal. So now there's water. Yeah, there's water all over the inside of this now, which is not ideal. So, I really should just replace this. But for now, it is indeed working. Now I'm going to try to dry this off camera and see if I can get this to run again. Alright, again I'm going to replace that HEPA filter especially, but we'll see how this runs. Pull that filter out. So I wonder, there's no moisture coming out of it. Now that ironically, I think now running the warm motor exhaust through it is actually drying out this filter the last little bit, or getting it closer to it. I was kind of worried that'd be an issue, but it seems like it's not actually. It seems like if I ran this, it'd be okay. And now obviously, I don't expect it to get a lot. Of course, there's a bunch of dust up here, of course, in the spot where you can't get to, but there's just a little clump of dust, nothing too crazy. I did just vacuum this, so, although with the PC-14, so not a super powerful machine, but nevertheless, again, see that's starting to cooperate a little bit better. I think if I clean that up in there a little bit, that might behave a little bit better. Yeah, it's like it's struggling. Other than that, though, pretty good. And for $5, and the only thing I've done to it, again, I am going to replace the filters, but the only thing I've done to it is a new belt and throw on a set of small tools that I happen to have laying around. I'd say that's pretty good. So, definitely not complaining too much. Again, it sounds a little funky, but that's probably just because of that crappy filter. So, I mean, really, I should just do that. Of course, it doesn't sit in there properly without that in there, but see how it runs now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. Which, it didn't sound bad before, but the thing, you could tell that the the filter was plugged, and you could tell that the whole thing was just kind of shaking a little bit, and it was kind of struggling to get air out. So, yeah, don't wash these stupid pleated filters, just change them, especially after 10 years. This thing obviously just needs replaced. And I'm going to replace the one that's in the bin as well, because, you know, frankly, might as well. It's not bad, though. I'll probably get away with that. But that's what I'll probably do, is I'll throw this away, and I'll order a set of replacement filters. So it might be a couple days before you see this machine again, but I mean, it'll be a couple days for another video anyways. So yeah, that's the Bissell PowerClean after I fixed it and everything. So yeah, it's fully good. It didn't need much of anything. I'm really glad I bought this. I mean, not because there's anything really special about it. Someone said this was like a Kmart exclusive. I don't know how much I buy that, but regardless, I really like my CleanView One Pass 9595, and this thing is just the same thing but with the rewind, and it's white instead of, it's white and teal, or is that blue or it's more of a teal. It's white and teal instead of black and purple. So again, I really like the original variant of this that I bought new. I just haven't used it too much outside of videos. But this thing's really cool. Of course, I don't like it having a core rewind. I'd rather it not have a rewind, just because it's another thing that can break. But this runs great. And all it needed was a belt and a set of filters. Literally just nothing but expendables. And 10 years later, this thing is still running, and it came back to life. I didn't even necessarily, I mean, make no mistake, as much as I like doing these restoration videos where I strip the whole machine apart and wash it, if you're a normal consumer, a normal customer who bought this at a thrift store, you do not have to do that. Just honestly, just replace the belt, clean up the brush roll, replace those filters, wipe down whatever you have access to, really, just so it's not gross. And you're fine. And you could run this thing for, this thing will last another 10 years. I don't care what people say. Oh, it's Bissell, so it only lasts 2 years. No, just because people throw these away and choose to throw these away does not mean that they are not running. I mean, this thing still runs perfectly. And this thing is actually one of the newer ones. It's not one of the older CleanViews where it filters terribly. This isn't a sealed system, no, but it's still going to filter better than a Shark because it has a proper dual cyclonic cassette and a decent seal around the HEPA filter, even if it's not officially a sealed system. I mean, this thing will, honestly, you know, a Shark that's this age will filter about as well as this, if not worse, because the filter setup anyways, because those seals usually deteriorate after a while, and they don't actually stay sealed for a while, for indefinitely, I should say. So, yeah, and again, I just happen to have a brand new set of the original tools, because these are what they would come with. These are what my other CleanView came with. It was this exact same extension wand, exact same crevice tool, which they still make this. So you can still get all these, because these are all still current tools. So, you know, if you bought a Power Force, you know, they would still come with these. Although sometimes the bagless ones come with crappy crevice tools, but the bagged one I know comes with these exact things, and then the dusting brush is just blue instead of white. But the white ones are usually the ones you get when you order them. So, and that's what I believe this originally came with anyways, because my other CleanView came with a white dusting brush. And why would the white vacuum not come with a white dusting brush? So, anyways, $5 at Goodwill. $4.99. $4.99. And, yeah, got a good vacuum. And honestly, this thing, other than the wheels being scratched, is basically in brand new condition now. Well, I guess, yeah, the stickers are a little messed up, but who cares? Functionally, it's brand new once I put a new set of filters in it. So, because it's got new tools and all that, it doesn't stink. I didn't wash the hose because it didn't stink or nothing. The whole thing didn't stink at all. It just was clogged, so it just smelled dusty, really. But I can tell they didn't have pets or anything. So, yeah. Almost an hour later, and somehow you're still watching this. If you are, I greatly appreciate it. I don't know how you tolerate sitting through these. Obviously, the point of this isn't to be like the most flashy thing in the world. It's just showing me putting it back together in that entire uncut process and narrating it. Obviously, if I wasn't concerned about talking you through everything, I could probably bust through putting this thing back together in 10 minutes. But for whatever reason, even though I can do that whenever I do these videos, I tend to just ramble and ramble and ramble, and the whole thing takes way longer than it should. So I apologize for that. That's something I plan on trying to address next year and make these videos a little bit more palatable. But in the meantime, for those of you who are watching these, I greatly appreciate it. And hey, Intellitech Studios lasts another year, and 2025 is going to be a great year for this channel, with the help of you guys, of course. So yeah, I only say that because I'm not sure if this will be the last video before the new year. It very well may be, because as I record this, it is 11:40 on Sunday, the, what is this, the 29th, I think? Hey Google, what day is today?
Today is Sunday, December 29th.
Okay, yeah, so the 29th. So, yeah, so that's pretty much that. Bissell PowerClean up and running. So, that's it. I don't know why I'm still talking. Anyways, Intellitech Studios signing out. Have a good one. Peace.